So this was Steven Chen versus Ben Gumby, with Steven playing black and Ben playing white. All looks okay so far. No mistakes. Yep, everything looks fine. Nothing to really comment on. Very much a modern, an AI Joseki post AI game. Yep. Again, really the first 20 moves have been perfect so far. No mistakes. You guys got to give me something to comment on. If you keep playing this way, I'll just go through the entire game and be silent.
So it's good. We have done players now, one case and one dance.
Yeah. So I would say I haven't seen this attachment too often. It's kind of hard to figure out why you wouldn't play it. My guess is, I mean, this is kind of the expected variation here. And then, obviously like black gets a corner, white gets the outside, or maybe white plays it here. And then, so I don't know why white wouldn't play here. I just haven't seen it before. But I think black probably would be better off just doing a hard connection here. If you're afraid of the cut, it's not that big a deal because white has a weakness at N17 that it'll eventually need to protect. So white's not going to be able to cut right away. And black can still live by playing the diagonal move here. So this might be a little bit more advantageous fight for black than attaching here. Although I think this is a variation too. I'm just it does seem a little bit too good for white if I'm being honest. This seems like a really nice variation for white, which is why I think you'd see either the hard connect or maybe the tiger's mouth, one of the two. When the difference between the tiger's mouth and the hard connect is that if you play here, you can block by playing at P15. If you play the tiger mouth, you're just going to push through and give up these two stones on the outside.
Huh. Never seen that before. Okay, cool.
And you might have seen, well, I won't go too much into the specifics of it, but so it looks like this is the game variation. And yeah, again, this seems like a really nice variation for white, if we're being honest. This ko is a little tough to fight right now. But I guess there's not too many ko threats. So I guess it's a big move here. Obviously, black can't connect, right? Like that's not something black can even consider. So black has to start the ko. So the question becomes: do you start the ko by playing here, or do you start the ko by playing here? I guess black would probably start here. Something like this. Maybe something like this would happen, and you kind of try to do trade. White would live in the corner probably, but black would get the outside over here. But again, I think this is still a really nice result for white. So I think it goes back a little bit to, this hard connection here seems preferable, or the solid connection, excuse me. This is an interesting sequence by white, try to force it by black, try to force a double ko. I think though, in this particular situation, if I were white, I would probably just tanuki. Neither side is particularly important, to be perfectly honest, because again, if white plays here, right, and black, just does something like this, or if black comes back and Atari's, white can just come out and play here. Not a big deal, right? And still, it's always going to be a ko over here. So. Maybe, if white wants to do anything, I'd say white should probably preserve the Aji in the corner, and not actually Atari here, because obviously this makes this ko much less valuable for white, and this ko for white in the corner is also not that large. So all black needs to do is win one of the two kos, which obviously black is going to be able to, and black will have made out well. So maybe better is to play elsewhere. But it's definitely a complicated fight either way. Yeah, so I don't see this being a good fight for white, for black, for white, because again, black just needs to win one of them. And so now even though this group is not weak on either side, black is very strong here, right? And so, white needs to protect here. Maybe black can play something like this later on, and make some sort of weak group here. So for that reason, I would be
Okay.
inclined to think that black is a little bit better here. Because if you just Tanuki and play elsewhere, let's say that white plays here, right? Then black gets a nice attack on these stones.
Right.
So you kind of need to add an extra move maybe here. And then, it's possible that black gets an attack on this side. So because of that, I think that maybe starting the Ko so early was a little bit questionable for white.
Okay.
Not a huge mistake. I think that we just typically don't see moves like Q2 anymore. And the reason, it's a little bit of a nuanced reason, but if we think about this formation, white doesn't actually want to play at R3, right? Because imagine, let's see if I can take a simple variation without completely destroying the game. Imagine if black had a stone here, right? White approaches, black extends. White plays at D2. Is black now going to play at D4? No, the combination of C3 and
No.
D4 don't make sense, right? Black would want to play here. So if you already have a stone at the Q4 point and black plays here, I don't really want to play at R3 because that makes my Q4 stone look inefficient. So I don't want to continue to make my stones more inefficient. So for that reason, you don't typically see white answer here. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to continue the inefficiency.
I don't think I did answer the game.
You might not have, but there's a second part to it. So that's only part of it. So you did ignore it, which is good. But I do want to show the other part of it. Why? Okay, well, sure, white can play elsewhere in Tanukis, but let's say that let's go back and let's say that white had this 3/3 move, right? White approaches, black plays here. I'm sorry, I'm blanking. Basically, the D2 stone is also not particularly efficient because let's say the follow-up is boom, 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 and then black plays away, and then white plays here. It looks very similar to as if white had a stone at 3/3, black approaches, white extends, black plays at D4, all reasonable moves, and then white plays at D2, right? This combination, these two moves together don't work well. So for that reason, neither side really wants to play the 3/3 because it's not efficient for either side. So that's why you very rarely see this kind of D2 or Q2 move when you have this stone here. Very nuanced thing, but again, you don't want to play a move when it makes your other stones more inefficient if you can avoid it. So sorry for that little bit of a tangent.
That's good.
So in the game, it looks like you switched gears and came over to this side, which I think was fine. And because you have I guess, do you have the ladder is the question? And I think the answer is yes. Although if I'm white in this, if I'm black in this game, I feel like I need to attack. I think that allowing white to just protect this group in this way makes this group a lot stronger. And so even though you do get an attack here, it's kind of hard to tell who's getting attacked and who's not. So I would be a little bit more inclined to say, okay, well, this is really white's strength over here. White has some strength here, white has some strength here. I don't necessarily want to invade this group right away. So what I would be more inclined to do was actually just attack this group where I have the strength. Yeah, maybe something like this. And so now white can't really get a good cut on the stone. Maybe something like this happens, but obviously black gets a nice corner territory and white's territory is a little bit reduced over here. So this might be another way for black to play. Obviously there's a lot of variations, but I think just going back to it, just backing off so passively as black allows white to get a nice position here. We don't necessarily want to let white's stones kind of build up not only strength, not only protect a weakness that we have over here, but also a little bit of territory as well. Obviously, it's not perfect. There is still this weakness here, but it's something to consider, right? Definitely much better just to extend here If white cuts, then you can play here. And now this stone at L16 is under a little bit more pressure than it was before. And if
What happens if black wedges in that variation?
so you could just sacrifice and just take the territory,
Okay.
and that's still quite an okay
Makes
result
sense.
for white.
Okay.
Because keep in mind the whole point was to attack, right? And so if you're just allowing
Yeah.
white to get the territory underneath, the outward influence isn't really going to help all that much. So if I were black, I'd probably be looking something like this, and
Okay.
trying to attack these stones, which is a playable result. But I think that black is under worse pressure here than had black just done this, right? Like this is a much better result for black than the game. Or then sorry, this result was a much better result than the one I just showed, excuse me, not than the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, because black is so strong here, black doesn't need to come out. Black really wants to separate this group from this group. This group is not that weak. So this move by black at N14 is a little bit questionable because it's attacking the wrong things. You don't want to attack this group and this group. You want to attack this group and this 3 white stones over here. So that's why you have to continue to block this way. Make sense? And now you can attack while getting territory, or you can continue the attack potentially later on over here as well. Yeah, this is how you want to attack. Get territory over here and force white to just connect back over here.
I think I'm all set. Right.
So again, a little bit of questionable direction at N14, but not game ending. And then, but just think about this exchange though. You play N14 in exchange for M14. Think about how much that hurts that black stone at L16. Right. And I know that you're not the one who's playing it, but it's still helpful to note.
Mhm.
Because white has the stone at M14, this group of 5 stones is no longer that weak. It's going to be pretty hard to attack this group. And these 2 stones are still pretty flexible. And so because of that, this is really a kind of a dangerous invasion point, right? We know that this white group is not in that much danger. Black has a weak group over here as well. So the only real weak group that white has is this one over here, which is still flexible, can still connect to the corner, can attach over here, and it's kind of it's kind of seems like black's the one getting attacked, not the other way around, right? So I would say that this move at R8 is poorly timed, especially after this exchange over here. If I were black in this position, I think what I would do is I would probably extend one more and see what white does. If white comes back over here, maybe now you can consider a move here, because now this move is blocking a direct connection. If white plays a move like this to protect this side, then you can try to separate and cause a little bit of trouble over here as well, or maybe jump out something like this. But again, it kind of goes back to this weakness at N14 of attacking the wrong thing and making one group much stronger than it should be. So black blocks. Maybe a little aggressive here, right? Because again, all we want to do is just attack this territory, this stone, excuse me. If we play like this, we now create another weak group for white. Right, so white has to worry about this group, and maybe eventually this group, right?
I have to admit here, I was hoping he would play R3 and then I could play this Joseki where with P3 and then O4 and stuff. Yeah, I think he gave me the variation I wanted. And now I feel like I've strengthened that side, but yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah. And so, here, where do you play? Do you come out like this? Well, okay, black's gonna come out too. Okay, you push, extend, and now you're putting more pressure on the stone.
Right.
And it's not easy to kill these 2 stones. And again, now it's really unclear who's attacking who. But yes, I agree. If this was the result, this is obviously a really strong result for white. Black should really add an extra move here. White will Hane and then black will play elsewhere. Omitting this move makes it so that this move at N2 is going to solidify really strong position for white on the outside, and also threaten to capture these 2 stones, which is not small either. So definitely adding this extra move, because what white doesn't want to have happen is that black gets to crawl up on the second line, right, from the second line onto the fourth line or something like that. So white's going to try to prevent that in most instances. Again, we talked about it. M2 is probably the move that black wants to play here, but I see the merit of this move, trying to separate the two groups, put a little bit of pressure. But again, because white has this really strong position here, it might be a little too late.
Okay.
Yep, all makes sense. Yeah, I mean, this white group is really flexible. It's going to be tough. And again, with this really strong white group over here, it's going to be tough for black to really get a good attack on this group. And so if you're not able to get a good attack on the group, then any influence you have is being rendered useless, right? But it's clear that white's going to get something, whether it's going to live here or attack these stones. White's going to be okay. And so I'm generally thinking that this attack by black is probably ineffective. So if I were black in this particular position, maybe starting here, I would, I'd almost want to cut my losses to a certain degree. There's a lot of endgame that still exists here. With moves like this, there's still some aji that exists here. So for that reason, I would be inclined just to take the larger moves on the board and come back and see how that happens. And again, this move at N12, even though it was a little bit slow, it is reducing how much white's going to be able to get here. So you don't always need to live with every stone in order to get a nice result. I do want to be a little mindful of time, because I know we're at the 20-minute mark and I have 3 games to get to. So maybe I'll just do another 5 or so moves of this game, and then jump to the next ones.
That's good.
And Ben, was there anything in particular you wanted to discuss about the game, or?
I don't know. I guess I guess just this fight that's coming up, because I wasn't sure exactly everything I did here, but yeah. I don't.
I think you're doing fine here. You've already made profit at the top, right? I think we can say that this is already a really successful result for you, taking this weak group, these 2 weak groups, and made it not only some territory, but you've also killed the stone while you're at it. And it's going to be really tough for black to get a real strong attack on this group. Even if black plays something like this, white can just live by playing here, and sure, black will get some territory, but it's not that much. And it's going to be hard because this white group is so strong here. There's not that much territory. White is perfectly fine. And I think the profit that white's made at the top is easily worth it. So I think you're doing fine in this fight, but we'll take a few more moves. This is probably questionable, because I think this is exactly what black's aiming for, right? Some way to cut off these stones.
I literally just missed that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think in the game.
And I'm not saying it's going to be a good result for black, but that's what black's aiming for. So black can set up for it, right? If you play this way and black just comes back and plays here, you're going to be forced to come back and play a really slow move. But now black has gotten an extra position to solidify this area here, and now black can try to cut this group off.
Okay.
And so now this becomes a really dangerous fight for white. So I think by caring about this one stone when black played here instead of just playing here, you actually lost out on a nice opportunity.
Okay.
Because again, black's going to need to actually spend this extra move to come out here, and now white can jump out. And so this group is a lot stronger than it was before, and this group, because there's no stone at P7 for black, is also a bit stronger than it was before too. It's a subtle difference, but again, just trying to focus on which stones are important. Yeah, I would say that, again, I think that black here lost an opportunity to just play something like this, or even, maybe attack this on a larger scale too. Because this group's not alive yet. It's possible that, like, if black plays something like that, something like this could happen, and white could be sealed in here. So even though I mean, basically what I'm trying to get at is there's a lot of aji here because there's no eye space here. This group is not locally alive yet. It's still going to need to add an extra move or two. And so for that reason, I think that caring about this one stone was questionable. Okay, so let's jump to David's and Eva's game, I guess, next. Any questions on this one? Any questions on this one before we jump?
No, I think after this fight, it basically just became better for me. So the rest of the game wasn't that interesting.
Yeah, I think black made this fight a little bit too early, and so now this is just a huge territory here, huge territory here, an unfinished Joseki for black here, which could be kind of annoying too. So I really can't imagine black being able to come back because black really only has about 5-10 points here, 5-10 points here, 15 points here, and maybe 10 points here. So it's whereas this is easily 30 points. This is another 30 points. This is another 10 points here. So white's ahead before Komi easily.
Great. Thanks so much.
Yep.